Chris Brown, Cry For Me. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It Music Review Season 12. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. We're continuing our coverage of the new Chris Brown album called Brown. This album has been such a good ass experience just kind of checking out, you know. And I will get into, because, you know, I've already seen everything on Twitter about this album. And, as somebody who's been listening to, every new Chris Brown album, ever since like 2020, you know, I feel like I have some great experience to give y'all, some good old highlights to give you, and how I'm kind of, coming at this album. You'll see my thought process for my album review and how I kind of feel about this album going on Wednesday night. But we are on the final couple of track reviews for this week. It's kind of sad that I have to, stop listening to Chris Brown, as for work. And, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have that opportunity. And I am really sad that it's going to be going away very, very soon. But I'm going to enjoy the last couple of days. All right, I'm going to enjoy the last couple of days. Now, this song right here, Cry For Me, is probably one of my favorite tracks off the album. As soon as I heard this song, I was like, yep, that's immediately a like. That's immediately, adding it to my playlist. You know how it really goes, in my opinion. So, this is already one of my favorite tracks off the album. Let's just get into it. Let's fucking talk about it. Starting off with the beat. This beat, you know, first I just want to say the bass line on here just sounds so fucking good. I love the 808s on here. The 808s sound so fucking clean, crisp. I love that opening rising synth that you can hear throughout this whole entire song. The drums just sound absolutely fantastic. This is that classic R&B, it's like that classic R&B beat sound, but it also has got those newer R&B elements kind of, mixed together. And y'all know I love a good ass hodgepodge, when you can, mixture genres together, and it doesn't have to be, different genres. I think that's when, people kind of get confused, when they really start talking about that, they go like, oh, but how is this country and pop or whatever? No, you know, it could be as simple as, classic R&B mixture with newer R&B. That's how simple it could really be. And, I think artists, really try to overcomplicate that, and they try to, go crazy, do all kinds of shit when you don't really need to go that crazy. You just need a couple of elements here to really make your own song. And when you combine, the older elements, the newer elements, and you put them together, then automatically you get a song that is yours, that sounds original, that sounds good. Well, sometimes they don't sound good, but, this song right here sounds pretty fucking good. But usually, that is how you get your own original sound, because in the day of, music will never, never, ever actually, nothing new will ever really be done again, like we will continue for the next humanity, lives on. We will be continuing using old sounds to make new sounds. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Old sounds make new sounds, and the new sounds, become old, and those, it's just a whole little like symbiotic relationship. And, I don't really like it when, artists kind of, bank on that. They kind of bank on just, throwing like a 90s sample, a 2000 sample, and just fuck calls it a goddamn day. I do like it when there's a little bit more effort, like on this song right here. It's got that older sound to it, which I love, but it's also got those newer R&B trap elements that I also really enjoy too. So this beat absolutely fucking smacks. Let's talk about this hook. This hook is definitely one of my favorite hooks. I love it when he does that little vocal switch up and then those background vocals start coming in and he does the Cry For Me hook. I think the Cry For Me hook works. Now, I remember The Weeknd did like a similar like type of song. Yeah, it's not really similar. It's more like it's more like The Weeknd is like his is like super fucking sad. This is like a love song. With The Weeknd's is like fucking depressing and shit. And there's obviously a place for that, but I think this is how you really do it for better. And if I was going to go for the Cry for Me, which one would I like better? I'm not going to lie, guys. I like this one a lot better than the Cry for Me by The Weeknd, you know? Like, that sounded, like, good, but this sounds really fucking good. And this has that R&B feeling to it in your chest. This has that, like, you know, when you hear those fucking synths, those background effects, and the beat rise up as Chris Brown is singing his ass off, you're like, damn, this shit fucking slaps. And then I love the opening verses too because, you know, I was maybe expecting Chris Brown not to go crazy on here, but you know, the beginning verse is really good. I love the sound of it. I love the flow. I like how he's coming on this beat. The vocal switch ups, the flow switch ups that Chris Brown's doing on here just sound absolutely fantastic. And I think overall, too, he pretty much killed the opening verse. Really good opening verse. And also, you know, leading up to that second rendition of the hook, I think, you know, that beginning part is really fucking good. But then the second verse, I was maybe expecting the same shit from the first verse, you know, kind of how, you know, Chris Brown, you know, can operate, you know, usually. But no, I really love how the second verse is a complete switch up. You know, he does a faster flow. He does more vocal switch ups in the second verse. And I just think overall, too, the second verse is better than the first one. So that means this song has that addicting factor to it. You know, it has that factor where you just want to replay the song because the first verse is hitting, but then that second half is still remaining that good ass high as you're listening to the song. You're just like, man, this completely fucking slaps. This goes fucking hard. So all of the elements here in this song actually really do work well together. That really lovely beat that just sounds fantastic. You know, that opening verse that absolutely hits that hook. You know, that little key shift he does with his vocals and that hook just gets stuck in your head. And easily the Cry For Me hook is one of my favorite hooks off this Chris Brown album. So overall, when we talk about Chris Brown, Cry For Me, I love this beat. You know, I love the opening verse. I love the hook on here. And I love the second verse too. This is probably one of my newer favorite Chris Brown songs too. You know, this is what I've been wanting from Chris Brown. You know, sometimes I'd listen to Chris Brown's newer music and I just go, man, can we just get back to R&B? Like you listen to some newer Chris Brown music and you're just like, why does it just sound like club music? You know, like why does it just sound like club music? Can we like get back to R&B? And this is a perfect fucking song to get back to some R&B, but it's also got those newer club, you know, trap soul elements too baked into it. So overall, I will easily give this track a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications. The rest of the week is just going to be Chris Brown. Chris Brown tomorrow, and then we're finishing off with a Chris Brown album review. We got a lot of tracks to go over, and I got a lot of listening to do, so I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Yeah, guys. Bye.